Hello, welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. The date is Thursday, October 15th, 2020. When I was a child, my favorite superhero, my first love, the one superhero I was fanatic about was Batman. Now, if anyone today was to ask me why I like Batman so much as a superhero, I can give you a lot of logical rationalization reasons. Primarily because Batman is not superhuman. He is a normal human being, uh, given that he is a very, very, very rich human being. He's a multi-billionaire genius who has a lot of technology to his beck and call. He is one of the best martial artists in the world, and he is able to do some crazy things like doing thousands of push-ups one-handed. Uh, but the fact remains, in a world populated with superheroes, Batman is just a guy. He ages like a normal human being. He has to eat, he has to sleep. If you put a bullet in him, he dies. If he fall out or out of an airplane without parachute, he dies. If he uh, get if he get into a fight with someone who's really big and strong, he get hurt, and so on and so on. Despite that, he is able to hang with some of the most powerful superhumans in his universe, such as Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern, and so on and so on. In fact, he has even proven that he's able to use his brain and his knowledge in combat to allow him, a normal human being, to kick the superhuman butt of Superman. What's not to like about a guy like that? I mean, that's just really awesome. He's like the pride of human beings. But none of this was the primary reason of why I liked Batman when I was a child. You see, growing up totally blind, I struggled a lot trying to blend in with my sighted peers, my sighted friends. I struggled to understand what they liked. I struggled to understand what they were talking about. I struggled to understand what interested them. And one of the things that I struggled with was superheroes. I didn't know what they looked like. I didn't have any concept of what they felt like, etc., etc. So one day, this was when I was like 11 years old, I was in the classroom, and again, my friends were talking about their favorite superheroes: Superman, The Flash, Captain America, Incredible Hulk, and so on and so on and so on. And then one of them said to me, he said, "Hey, check this out." And he handed me a small action figure of Batman. He said, "Hey, you should like Batman. I mean, you can feel how unique his shape is." And he was right. Coming from someone who was totally sighted, coming from a child that was incredibly observant, because he was right. If you put Superman in my hand, and then you put Captain Marvel in my hand, and you put Black Adam in my hand, I wouldn't be able to tell you with any kind of certainty who is who, because they all feel more or less the same. Big muscular guy with cape, wearing next to nothing, or very skin-tight clothing, and they have roughly the same kind of haircut. And like I wouldn't be able to tell, as a blind child who had no knowledge of superhero, I wouldn't be able to tell you that the difference between these guys. If you handed me the action figure of the Thunder God Thor or the Hawkman, again, I would have a hard time telling you that those were two characters because they have a lot of similarities. Uh, with the only difference really is uh, Hawkman has wings and Thor doesn't, but their head, the shape of their head, the build of their body is very similar. But Batman, you're not going to, at least back then. Now, nowadays, we have seen a lot of uh, different characters that start to dress up like Batman. But back then, when I was growing up, there was no mistaken Batman. You put a Batman action figure in my hand, no matter which Batman, what version, I could tell you with certainty this was Batman. And that was enough for me to gravitate towards this character because this was one character that I could pick out of pick out of the lineup and identify every single time with my hand. What makes Batman so unique? Well, let's take a quick look at all three of them here. I have three Batman in front of the camera. This one, the one in front. This one is the most standard Batman. This is the costume that most people are familiar with. Uh, Very muscular, standard cape, standard Batman mask. Yeah, everyone's seen this Batman. And then we have this one over here. This is a Batman that is in the medieval time, is dressed up in armor. This is a very unique Batman. This is one of my oldest action figures. This one from 1995, I believe, or 94. Really, really old, really highly valued. Batman in medieval knight's armor. Is it wacky? Yeah, it is. But it's a heck of a nice design. And then, back here, we have a more modern Batman. This is Batman that is wearing some kind of more detailed armor. There's more of a leather and chainmail feel to his. This is a more bulky Batman, and he's wearing a gas mask, and his ears are the ears on his mask. They're shorter than the other incarnation. All three of these feel very different, but without a doubt, even if I never encountered them before, if you put them in my hand, I can identify them instantly as Batman. First, the cape. Very few other superheroes have this kind of scalloped edges on their cape, so that is like an instant recognition for Batman. Look at the bottom of that cape. It's a kind of jacket like that. Only Batman wear a cape like that. Okay, that's hint number one. Hint number two, of course, the head. This head that have 2 ears on top of the mask. This one, the medieval one. Look at those two little ears. And of course, the most classic incarnation, this one. Nice long ears on top of the mask. And even if the cape and the mask get changed somehow, there's still the gauntlet, the little spikes that come out from the bottom of his glove. The classic Batman has that. The medieval knight Batman has that right here on his arm, little spikes. And then the newest modern incarnation, he has that too. They're shorter, but they're still there. I mean, that's just really, really cool for a blind child to get into, identify in, and be able to recognize that superhero instantly by feel. When I was 14, 15, I had a goal in mind that I wanted to collect every version of Batman, every Batman character there was. But soon I realized that that was a crazy, crazy idea. I couldn't have picked a worse superhero to want to be a completionist about. Superman is easy. There's only so many versions of Superman. Wonder Woman is easy. There's only so many versions of Wonder Woman. I think next to Batman, the hardest superhero to complete was probably Iron Man. Iron Man and Batman probably go toe to toe in having the most variable, most different costumes. I think Batman actually beats out even Iron Man, because Iron Man, you have like a lot of robotic armors, but basically that they only look one way for the most part. But Batman, especially back in the 90s, it got crazy. It's like people weren't even going by comic book accuracy anymore. Toy makers were making Batman in medieval armor, Batman in ninja armor, Batman in pirate gear, Batman in disco gear, Batman in firefighter outfit. And it's like they were just trying to see if they could just put Batman in any kind of outfit possible and then make another 10 or 15 bucks off of what essentially was a nonsense Batman. So, in the middle of 1996, I finally decided I wasn't going to collect Batman anymore. It was ridiculous. They were just coming up with silly, goofy costumes for the sake of making money. A lot of those costumes were downright weird and just didn't make sense to me anymore. And honestly, I got to the point where I had hundreds and hundreds of different versions of Batman on my shelf, and that was starting to look really silly. So I started to focus on collecting villains and other characters. After all, I needed someone, a lot of someone, for my legion of Batman to fight. Despite of all the Batman figures made to date, and there's probably thousands of them, there has been one that's been missing from the roster, one that collectors, comic book lovers, have been yearning for, including myself, have been yearning for. for the last 10, 20 years. As comic books got more and more brutal and villains got more and more crazy and powerful, Batman had to evolve. I mentioned before, I love it when there's a sense of evolution in characters. So as villains got crazier and crazier, I mean, just look at our last episode. We showed two of the craziest mad gods, villains that could destroy the world easily, villains that made Superman seem like a child. As villains like that started to come up, a normal human being like Batman had to adapt. I mean, when you really think about it, someone like, well, Thanos or Darkseid, like the guys we showed last week, either one of them would be able to erase a normal human being like Batman with a single shot. Heck, they can probably erase a million guys like Batman with a single shot. So faced with threats like that, how is our mortal hero, our ordinary human hero, supposed to deal with things like that? Well, apparently, how he, Batman, how Batman decided to deal with it was to upgrade. In a stroke of insanity and genius, Batman asked the rest of the Justice League, so Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Superman, all the superpower allies that Batman constantly worked for, he asked them to help him forge an armor that would allow him to combat superpowered villains, even gods like Darkseid. Thus was born the Hellbat suit. Yeah, the suit of armor was so powerful they called it Hellbat. And Hellbat had finally, after 10, 20 years of comic book action figure lovers asking for it, finally Hellbat have been released in action figure form. And there he is. That is the Hellbat armor Batman. One of the craziest costumes Batman has ever worn. And one of the coolest, in my opinion. I mean, just look at this thing. Let me spread out his wings. The wingspan on this suit is crazy. This is over a foot long, like over a foot wide, from wingtip to wingtip. The Hellbat armor. Let me give you guys a rundown of why this armor was so impressive. The Hellbat armor was forged by some of the gods on the good guy's side, and also was put together by Superman, forged together inside the sun. So it was forged using the core temperature of the sun, which means this armor can withstand extreme heat. And it was designed by almost all the most powerful superhuman on the good guy's side, and piloted by one of the brightest minds on the good guy's side, Batman himself. Now, we have all seen what a guy like Batman can do, even without superpower. How he can fight off a lot of people with guns, how he can fight off someone like Superman, how he can outsmart a lot of the really crazy villains he has to face through the years. Now imagine a guy like that inside the suit that we are looking at on screen right now. This is a massive figure. This, if I stand him up straight, he's 8 inches tall, so he would be 8 feet tall in real life. He looks like a combination of medieval armor and high-tech robotic. But you can still see the Batman influence here. Little ears on the head, blades coming out of the arm, the back of the arm, and of course these beautiful, beautiful bat wings on his back. In addition to being able to withstand extreme temperature, the Hellbat suit is also nanite controlled, which means it's made out of billions of tiny, tiny particles that can surround Batman to form the armor at a single voice command and can be stored on his person when he's not wearing it. This armor, the Hellbat armor, allows Batman to punch out some of the demigods and gods. There has even been a time when Darkseid, one of the most powerful evil gods ever, tried to eradicate Batman, and Batman, wearing the Hellbat suit, was able to knock Darkseid down. I mean, he ended up getting his butt kicked really badly and had to escape, but still, I mean, he was able to stand toe to toe against one of the most powerful evil gods in the world in this armor, even though it's just for a short time. The wings on the Hellbat suit, obviously it doesn't work as well on this figure, but you can see on this figure you can fold them in like that. Really cool. Fold them in, or you can post them like out like this. The wings on the Hellbat suit can do a lot more in the comic book. These wings allow the suit to fly, of course, at extremely high speed. He can actually fly a whole circuit around a planet that's 100 times bigger than Earth in the matter of minutes. So he can fly at like light speed in this armor. The wings also allow him to use them as shield and are strong enough to cut through stone. So he can use them as cutting tools and weapons as well. In addition to that, any energy that's fired at the Hellbat suit can be absorbed through the bat symbol on his chest and fired right back at his enemy. It has also been speculated that it's quite possible that Batman wearing the Hellbat suit can lift nearly 100 tons of weight. In another word, in this armor, Batman is on par, at least on par, with Superman. So some people was asking them, well, why doesn't he just wear this all the time? It seems like he's almost unbeatable in the Hellbat suit. Well, there is a drawback with the Hellbat suit. The drawback is, while he's wearing it, the suit is slowly draining his life energy. So if he wears the suit for too long, Batman can actually die. So this makes it one of the things that he would only use in extreme emergency, such as when Darkseid or other evil gods try to invade the world. This Hellbat figure was made by one of my favorite action figure maker of all time, the king of action figure making in the 90s, Todd McFarlane. Todd McFarlane has resurfaced in the past few years, and he is doing extremely well. I mean, a lot of us wonder if he can still be the king of action figures, but by looking at this Hellbat armor, he just might be. I mean, this is a massive, massive figure, over a foot wide and 8 inches tall, and this guy's heavy. It's got a lot of bulk, a lot of detail, and it's very well articulated. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful armor. This guy, uh, while other companies are selling guys the size of standard Batman, this standard Batman here, other companies are selling this size figure for $29. Let me stand them together. You can see how big a difference is. This Hellbat suit is massive comparing to Batman without Hellbat suit. They don't even look like the same character, size-wise. Just look at that. It's like twice, at least twice as big. So other companies selling this standard Batman figure for $29. Todd McFarlane, on the other hand, made this huge Hellbat armor and selling him for $20. I can hardly explain how crazy it is to get a figure this big, this detailed, this well made for $20. It's almost unheard of. I mean, you think like he's ripped off some poor Chinese people to be able to do this or something. I don't know. I really don't know how he can make this so cheap. For a blind person, the Hellbat suit is a treat uh, as far as tactile goes. From the big spiky shoulder pad, these shoulder pads are articulated by the way, to move them, uh, to the glossy, smooth wings and the fully tactile bat symbol on the chest and the various spikes and blades on the arms and the claws on the hands and the big blocky boots and knee pads. I mean these boots, these knee pads just make me think that they're going to hurt a lot when Batman kicks someone uh, while he's wearing this suit. Even if you look at the back of his leg, there are little ports like rocket ports back here, fully sculpted. Every inch of this action figure is a unique sculpt, unique detailed sculpt, unique mold. Like I can't imagine he can reuse this for any other action figure. But again, something so big, so detailed, $20. Kind of makes me think that there was a reason in the 90s why McFarlane was the best, and if he wants to, he can still be the best easily if he can produce figures like this at a relatively low cost. And of course, for those of us who's wanted a Hellbat armor for the past 10-20 years, this guy is a dream come true. I mean, of course, I can think of better ways, uh, like things that can be done better for this action figure. One of the things that I wish, like, I would actually be willing to pay $50 for this if he would include some different configurations for the wings on its back. Like I said, in the comic book, the Hellbat armor's the the shields, they can be reconfigured into cutting, like swords and cutting tools. They have a lot of different looks to them. It would be nice if we could get a few different options for these wings. But that's as far as myself go, that's my only gripe. Like I said, if he would do the wings with more variation, I would be willing to pay $40-50 for this figure easily. But even without the different wing options, it is still a very impressive action figure, and I would say it's uh, one of uh, one of the action figures that I totally am happy that I've gotten this year during this crazy pandemic time. It's a little bright light in my life. There's so much happiness when I am messing around and posing the Hellbat suit Batman. Thank you for checking out today's Toy Thursday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Fitness Friday. For now, have a good night and goodbye.